camera that I just raved about.
These, all of these whatevers.
And it was gone. Totally. Sure, it works fine now.
I hope so. It's for somebody else. I'm sure it does. That's sad. Yeah, she brought me a beautiful camera, 14 pixel and everything. Whatever that means, I don't know. I mean, got a general idea, but
good quality of clarity.
yeah, didn't do it dang good or good.
Well, welcome. Do you live in the neighborhood, or?
I do. I live back towards towards town, the cat park. So we get to hear the lions every night.
Really?
Tigers.
There's lions there?
Oh yeah. There's there's
You have
two.
a zoo?
It's two cat parks. There's
Okay.
one cat sanctuary, and then the other one is. It's a feller who used to have one, and he closed it down, but he decided to keep all the cats and get more. So altogether,
I had no idea.
in that little area there's over 50 cats. So every night, you didn't see it when you were driving in.
No.
Did you come from the coast, or did you come from Grants Pass?
From Grants Pass.
Okay, yeah,
It's on the road.
You passed it.
We passed it?
Hmm.
Is there a sign out there? Yeah.
Great cats.
Great cats? Okay. Did you see it? I didn't see it.
Yeah. So I live right by there. So every night we hear that.
Yeah.
And you go to bed, with your last
Yep.
prayers,
Yeah.
or, let's make sure that
Let's not let them be on
the
our roof
gates
when I
are
get up in the
closed.
morning.
No
Yeah.
room for human error sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah, just be cautious. And one good thing about the cats being down there is we know when there's a bear in the area, because the cats go crazy when there's a bear, and so
So they help they're kind of like a bunch of guard dogs,
Yeah.
guard cats
Yeah.
for the animals that are outside of the pet that
Yeah.
are coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just hope that they don't get out of their pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat. It's funny when people have never heard them before and they come to our house and they hear that. Yeah. They get a little scared.
Hopefully he takes very good care of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's two separate people down there. So I've seen both of their enclosures, so they seem to do pretty good with them.
So they have all the big cats?
Hmm.
Lions?
The
and
great cats,
tigers
they have
and panthers?
they have
and-
one lion. The rest are tigers and leopard. They have the only
Serious
working
critters.
they have the only working leopard in the world.
Really?
The black leopard. Yeah, he's the only one that works. He does all the advertisements and any postcard
Okay,
or
this
such
is a
that
professional
you
leopard.
see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he's the only one.
He's a SAG. He's got a SAG card. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
So-
interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And I'm a creative writer, among other things, so immediately I've got a premise for something here.
Alright.
This would make a very interesting story.
Between the cats and the stones. we
Yeah,
got
the
a
nights
good
the,
little story going.
the nights the cats and stones got out. So,
Right.
With the stones.
Yeah. Yeah, the stones. Yeah, she's like,
I don't
God.
want to touch the stones.
I'm talking about the
Poor-
stones.
This poor little girl comes to work for me. Oh, no.
I've seen the baskets where the stones used to live.
Yeah. They're still in the baskets, just only half of them. Yeah, Red Oak took half. Yes.
Well, from the reports, we're delighted that you did come to work here.
She tried. Oh yeah, without her and the help of Jesse, I would have given up. She has a natural knack for. She's just natural for knowing, like you, how to get close to me. I mean, she hadn't been there a week, and I was saying I don't want anybody else but her.
Yep, that's it.
So, yep. So if she doesn't stay, I'm
stuck
out of
with
here.
her.
Yeah. Wouldn't
Yeah.
trade her for the world.
But she had to pack up the computer and pack it away. So, I mean, she tried to do computer work for me at my house. She tried to do it at her house. There's another example of far away. She took my printer, tried to use it at her house as long as it was for somebody else. But the minute it was for me, nothing. She'll tell you. It was frustrating. It just started going crazy on her.
I try to lie to the printer and say, "This is not for Fawn." It knew. The printer works great until you print something for Fawn. You do that, it has lines through it.
And with him, it crashes
Yeah.
completely.
You have to,
So-
give it instructions, right?
Yep.
It
It's
doesn't
still-
listen.
It won't listen. If it's legitimately something not for fun, it works fine.
No problem. Yeah.
Works fine.
And nobody can explain it. So, but she's patient.
Many things.
So,
Who ordered the rain today?
Must have been you.
don't look at me.
I actually don't mind it. I love it.
Yeah, it's
I
nice.
don't mind it at all.
It's
I
great.
love
It's a
it.
nice
Fair
gentle
weather almost all the time, so when it
Mhm.
rains, it's
Mm.
this is
Yeah.
good.
Makes me
Okay.
want to go to the coast.
Oh, it's too cold.
It was nice this morning because we got to wake up with the rain drumming.
Nice.
Uh-huh.
my
Yeah.
hand, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
teepee, so that was beautiful.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Are you staying in the teepee up on the hill?
No,
Oh,
no.
over here.
Yeah, mine. That one's his.
Okay.
There's Catherine's.
Okay. All
Mm.
right.
Catherine didn't put him in the dunce hat.
No, she stayed in it.
Thank God.
She told me she stayed there last
It's the
night.
silliest looking tent I've ever seen.
With her air mattress with a leak in it. So
Yes.
she slept in it like a taco, folded up in the middle.
I don't have any faith in those. Yes, they will just fold right up on
Hot
you.
dog, you know.
She said I
Crepe
sat on
taco.
that and it just swallowed me up.
I told her, oh, well, it's a brand new one. I said, I don't care. I don't trust it. By God, she did. She wouldn't listen.
Oh, that was funny.
Apart from its, deflating on her, it looked like quite a luxurious little
Yeah.
room she's got in there.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Don't
looking for the
trust it.
bathroom, and
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, well, I will get going and let you.
If you don't
Back
call
to your
Martha,
business.
I'm going to put a hex on you.
Don't you do that. Call Martha right
You're call Martha right now.
yeah, let's do that while we're
Yeah.
thinking about it.
I haven't left her a message.
Okay. You show her how to get here. That would make it so much easier. I mean,
She said she was going to,
well,
but she hasn't.
she's old. She forgets, I think. I don't know.
Let me call her real quick.
Yeah.
So you okay with us
Yes, I'm fine.
continuing?
Of
I was
course.
just telling Marco that
Mhm.
it's going remarkably well, and we're getting through this very quickly. We're probably 2/3 through the whole interview, so
Okay.
within a couple of hours, I've just got a handful of big questions.
That's fine.
Uh,
That's what you came for.
These are the kind of questions that could probably take us off into other worlds. So, good. Stan's gonna really be excited to
Hmm.
see this. And in terms of the process, I think
Hmm.
we'll come up with some very specific questions
Yeah.
for the next round.
Okay. I'm.
This really,
Hmm.
lays out the foundation stone, and
Hmm.
he'll have some very specific questions. 'Cause
Okay.
a lot of what you're saying is
And I
gonna be
didn't.
very much of interest. to
Breakfast came before I told you about the transporting in that lodge when I lost everybody. So.
Oh yeah, let's get back to that.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, so maybe we can start with getting back to that.
Okay.
Because you're right, it was interrupted there,
Mhm.
and that was
That was as soon as we started the round. It was. They told me it was. I was supposed to only bring steam and not heat, and leave everybody in there. And you could see the willows, you can see the grass blades, you can see everything. So it was strange. And so all the women, except for the one who was next to me, the bank executive lady, they all closed their eyes during the first round, because it was a round of prayer where they each got to pray or sing or do whatever they wanted to do, and they just went in that order. And I just poured the water and made the steam while they did it. But I didn't know they all had their eyes closed. And one lady who was a little overweight, always had her trouble with her back, and since it was just a casual gathering, she laid down. So she was laying down, the others were sitting there, and they were all like that or something, you know. And I put the steam on, and it filled up so I couldn't see anybody, but like in the fog, you can see something really close, but that's all. I could see her. I couldn't see anybody else, but I could hear them. And when the steam went away, they weren't there, but their voices were there. I couldn't see anybody. And I didn't know what to do, so I poured more steam. I mean, what? Okay, let's regroup here. And every time the steam cleared, they weren't there. And she was. And so I finally leaned over to her and I said, "Do you see what I see?" And she's quiet, almost ready to break into tears, and says, "I don't think so. I don't see anything but you and me." That's what I see. And she's just, "Oh, what do you do? What, you know," she didn't know what to do. And they just kept saying their little prayers and going around and around, and I kept putting the steam on, and I kept thinking, what am I going to do when they're done praying? I lost them. I don't know where they are. But I can hear them right in the same spot.
You could hear them saying their prayers.
Yes,
You couldn't see them.
just like they were right
After
there.
the steam cleared,
That's
you couldn't see.
could not see. Well, with the steam you can't anyway. But
Right.
when it cleared, there was nothing but willow there and willow the lodge.
Oh, my.
And so when the last one the lady next to me got through, and the steam cleared, they were all just there, just like normal. Now I thought, this is not good. This is a head game. I don't like this, you know. And so I asked them, "Did any of you feel anything or see anything happening this last round?" And they said, that when the firekeeper went out to get the stones, I asked them, you know, and they said, "No, we had our eyes closed," is what the response all came from everybody. I had my eyes closed. It was so bright. And it was hard to get into a sacred space sitting there in the blue tarp, you know, so they checked out. And so after the run, it was all fine the rest of the time. It was normal. When I came out of the lodge and I called on the ancestors, I was in the lodge, they left the lodge, and I was mad. And I wanted to know what the heck that was about and why. Don't put me in a position responsible for everybody and then pull something like that on me. I was terrified. I've lost these women. I don't know what to do. And they thought it was kind of funny. Because I said, "What happened?" And they said, "You took them into another dimension. And had you taken them further," I didn't know I took them anywhere, but had I taken them further, I wouldn't have been able to hear their voices either. But it was into the layer where they were between the worlds. They weren't in any other dimension. They were at a higher vibration. And the old ones explained it like a fan blade. The fan blades going around on low, you can still see them. You put them in, you can see them, and then you can't. And, well, you put them on high and they're gone. So I put them on high and they were gone. But they were still there, just like the fan blades are. But I was very angry.
Voices.
Yeah, and she said, "Well, one notch up, and that would have been..." But they left that for me, so I didn't lose my mind completely. Because I probably would have... I don't know what I would have done hadn't I... But the voices being there confused me so bad I just didn't do anything except pour more dang water on the stones. But by the time they were done, there was no more steam. The stones were done, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I just couldn't go into denial any further, you know. But that's what it was about. And so I kept asking myself, why didn't the two of us go? Why did they? Or maybe we did, but why? This didn't look right. And actually, when the firekeeper was over here, I thought, when I couldn't see him, I felt, and I also couldn't feel him. So they weren't there in the physical at all. And that really... I thought it was just maybe something with the head, the optical illusion kind of thing or something, but it wasn't. They were really not there. And so finally got the answer just recently why we were still put, because I'm the one that transports them, and I have to stay behind until everybody else is gone, and that was my first introduction to transporting. So that's what this lodge up here is going to be about. I'll take them somewhere, and the rest of them, if they don't all fit, you can just take them in shifts, and then I can go.
Was there ceremony associated with that, or you just sit in the lodge?
They told me just to go in and just didn't have to, no particular ceremony, just have the girls do their prayers or songs. And I didn't know what they were going to show me, but sometimes they do things and you see things happen. But this time, that's all that
Do you
happened.
think that closing the eyes had something to do with
I
their
don't think so.
disappearance?
No,
Huh.
I don't. No, because
And why did she stay back with you?
she was a part of me. She was assisting me and had all my rattles and my
okay.
fans
Okay.
or whatever I had. I don't know, my wing.
So that was your assistant.
Yeah, so we stay behind. Whoever's assisting me will stay behind with me and assist me until we're done, and then we go.
We went back to where we got cut off earlier and hadn't quite finished.
With the woman who had the straw in the channel, the bone that was used.
No, this was the blue tarp.
This
Yeah.
was the experience of transporting
Oh yes.
and
In and out of dimensions.
a group of people that were in the lodge with Fawn disappeared from her view when the mist would clear. They weren't there, but she could hear them doing their songs and chants. And the person that was with her in the lodge also could not see them when the mist cleared,
Mm-hmm.
but could continue to hear them. So, quite a
That one.
remarkable
But
event.
we've done this many times. The sweat lodge, when the firekeeper came in and the door was closed, when she opened the door, we were someplace else and closed the door
So
quick.
this experiment has been repeated.
Yeah, well, this was before, but I didn't understand it, so they made it clear in this one. That was for me to
The role
learn.
of the firekeeper in
Mm-hmm.
that.
So,
Remarkable. We were talking about soul retrieval, and I'd like to talk more about that because I think that this is an essential function traditionally of shamanism, and also your connection to it with PTSD I think is really important.
okay.
I'm sure Stan will have any number of questions to ask you about that.
Yeah, okay.
Because he's doing a lot of work in terms of effective interventions for
It's
dealing with it.
PTSD is a little different than the soul retrieval, other instances where souls,
How so?
they're disconnected, but the soul's there with them.
Okay, so the soul's not been stolen or lost.
Right,
but
it's
been-
disconnected and it's like it's hanging with them, but it's not connected to them. I need to do the reconnect
Interesting.
rather than go after. Okay.
And can you talk a little bit about the more traditional situations where you have to go after it? How does that occur? How do you find it?
I just do.
Just do.
I don't know where it goes. It goes when it's, well, now that depends on if it's been taken or
Let's
if
start
it's,
with that scenario. What if it's been taken? And I'm familiar with situations where potentially a brujo
there you go.
could
Yes.
capture a soul.
Yes. And then you run smack dab into that one. Okay. Because that's where it is in their control. I didn't know that when they sent me after one. And I don't know how I go. I don't know. It's just something I naturally do. It's in me. I don't understand it, but I just know how to do it. I can't even explain it.
Do
It's
you
it's
see
like
it? Are there visual images associated with it?
yeah, I see where if it's captured. Now we're talking.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
If it's, and that word interests me because every time I went to Salinas, they called me the Bruja. So, by the way, I didn't think I was one of those, but okay. So, yeah, that's something I really don't like to do. But that when you come up against whoever has taken it, hopefully you're strong or stronger than they are. Because if they don't want to give it up, this could end up being a
be a
problem.
struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And I would assume there's
and you
some
don't,
dangers for,
yeah,
for you.
You don't want to get caught out of this frequency because you may not get back.
You can get
Yeah.
caught too.
Yes.
your soul
Yes.
could
Yes.
get lost.
That's right. And I wouldn't wake up. I would just be in a coma.
Yeah. Okay.
But I didn't know that when they sent me out. Of course, I was in ego then, and I knew I could whoop the
You could
world.
do anything.
Yes,
You were a hero.
you bet.
Yes.
I got God on my side. Oh, ho, ho. He isn't always hanging with you. Don't you believe that baloney? They leave you on your own sometimes. But yeah, it's usually I don't know why I haven't done anything to become more powerful than anyone else or anything like that. I just seem to have the ability, and I've never been failed yet on the soul retrievals.
If you had, so I take it then that you've had a number of those kinds of.
I lived in the
interventions.
days of Nam, so Nam,
Yeah.
and a lot of them came back.
That were captured or lost.
Both disconnected, captured. There was something going on over there where they were putting cards in their mouth.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Putting
what
death cards is what
Yes,
they're
that's
called.
what I was up against, and because of that, I was able to find them. Otherwise, I don't know if I could have. Excuse me. So, because they used, that's another reason I don't use anything. So, because it's a direct connection to you. But,
Fingernails
would you hand me
or
that glass? Yeah, well, no, I mean stones.
stones. So anything that's
Medicine.
contact with you.
Yeah. If the ones that had the card in the mouth, that was just like a beacon to find them who had done that.
So would you have visual imagery?
Yes, and
or
they've never
auditory, or-
spoken, ever had any.
So there was never.
I would just, there they were. And anytime I work on a black person, whether it's African or Jamaican, it doesn't matter where they're from, the black race, I run smack dab into a medicine man from their bloodline every time,
Oh, really?
and won't let me work on them. Scary, scary. They are the most scary shamans I've ever seen in my life. Some of those dark ones, and they always have their eyes are what scare me. Their eyes are starey, like they can see right through you. Oh, you know, and that's not a soul retrieval. That's just trying to heal them, and I run into them.
So witch doctors.
Yes,
In other words.
right. And they're always painted and feathered and scary, and they kind of forceful with their energy. They're very frightening.
Very powerful.
Yeah, and they act it. I mean, the body language and all. It's like, oh, God, what am I doing here?
So I assume a number of occasions you've encountered those kinds of.
Maybe 4. I don't generally do it anymore. I know it isn't going to happen. There's only one time it was a woman and not a man, and she had a white dress and a white bandana on her head, and she just jumped in front of the patient and between us and said gibberish to me because I don't know their language. I don't know what she said, but I got the message real clear.
The message was, "Don't come any
Back
closer."
up. Get out of here. Yeah.
Was it a sense that they were protective entities of that individual?
Yeah,
Or
I
that
don't
they
know.
were harming that individual?
No,
and
no, they were
protecting
not
them
harming.
from- okay.
No, they were not giving me permission to work on that patient.
Okay.
And the first time it happened was what was the first time it happened? It was I don't remember. They're all muddied together, so many of them. Oh yeah, the first time it happened was a woman who had breast implants and they were working their way out. Her breasts were opening up and they were coming out. And she didn't want to have them removed because she knew there would be nothing left because that stretches them and they're all, you know. So she came to me, and the first thing I saw was there was nothing but one tree. That's all the vision I got, and it was flat on the bottom, just one tree in this desert and flat on the bottom. And I kept going like a fool. And suddenly it was the blackest black man I've ever seen. He was really black, blue-black. And he had very white staring eyes, glaring eyes at me, and he was wearing yellow and black and white feathers and paint and stuff. Of course, the paint intensified the look, you know. Ooh. And he just stepped in front of me and wouldn't let me go any
The
further.
message was clear.
And so I came back and I said to the woman, I can't help you. And I told her about the tree and I told her about this, and she was a white lady. She was not black. And she said, "Oh, that's my doctor from when I was a child. I was born in Africa." Oh, well. And she knew the tree.
Yeah,
And that was,
interesting.
but she went and had the implants taken out elsewhere because the woman wouldn't let me pass to work on her. So.
So the images that you saw in that event were actual.
Mm-hmm.
They were literal. They weren't.
They were connection,
metaphorical.
right? They
were
were
literal
connections to her.
connections in her memory.
Yeah, the tree. They used to drive to the tree because the elephants and giraffes and different animals would be around this tree, eating it and keeping it flat. She said when she was a little girl, and so she knew the tree very well. She played on it and everything. And this doctor was the one that they'd called on whenever she was ill or anyone in the family was ill, even though they were white. So that was my first encounter.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So the soul retrieval has been kind of an ongoing part of your work.
Occasionally, yeah, because of PTSD, I ran into it a lot. That's about the only time that I've...
PTSD is kind of a new form or a different form.
Yeah, it
It
is.
has more to do with
Disconnect.
a disconnect.
And I think it's something to do with us, and we can't do morally what they want them to do, and that's to kill another human being that hasn't done anything to you. And it's very hard for a lot of our vets, if they've got a weak link already, then they're going to go into this problem.
If they have a weak link, or do you think maybe that's
Gap.
associated with conscience?
Oh, I know it's
think
associated with
people of
conscience.
conscience would have
No, all of them pretty much have conscience.
difficulty.
But I think it has to do, it's the ones with the blueprints that show that they are weak in their emotional layers or their mental layers are the ones that their conscience breaks it, obviously. And the others are stronger enough that it doesn't, they don't, I kept wondering, why does one buddy, they did the same thing together. Why did this one get sick and this one not? And that, because then I see in the blueprint there's a weak link and there wasn't in the other one.
When you say you see in the blueprint, do you actually get like a visual image?
Uh-huh.
What does that look like? Is that like
Light
something
body, like lights.
body.
It's, I guess you'd say light body. It looks like energy and light, and everything is there, and I can see where there's gaps or muddy or something's wrong. It's not a pure form.
Is it
Dim.
You're within the body?
No,
or
this is
around the
separate.
body,
This
or
is like
totally
it's
separate?
it's like it's somewhere else. I have to go. Now, somebody told me, now I can't trust these people because they don't know. The old ones tell me there's no numbers on the dimensions. But this one person said, oh, the light body, or the blueprint, I call it, I don't, the soul or whatever, is in the 10th dimension. And somebody else said it was in the 26th. I have no idea, but the old ones are like, there's no numbers, and there's no end to them either. There's not only 11 or whatever some believe.
Infinite.
Maybe for them there's 11, but for me, I've been told there's as many as there is stars in the sky. So I don't know what that's about. It's way beyond my understanding. But I know the old ones have taken me, so I just automatically go wherever this blueprint, it looks like a map to me that tells me where there's a problem that isn't the physical problem of the person. It's something they were born with. This is their weak link. That may be karmic. I don't know. I don't know what it would be, why some people have it and some don't.
From the point of view of the experience of the person suffering soul loss, how do you define it? What's the symptoms?
PTSD.
Okay. Well,
That has
PTSD got very
oh.
specific sequelae. But so, for example, someone who had lost it, or and I don't know how would you lose your soul?
I don't
Probably
think
countless ways.
I don't think you lose it unless it's been taken. You can disconnect from it, but it is with you.
Yeah.
It's just not. They're empty.
Yeah.
They're crazy or they're whatever, but they aren't complete without it. But it's there. It's just not connected. It's just like it's not connected.
Okay. So you work a lot with physical ailments, but
Yeah.
this is more of a psychological ailment.
And this is the one that won't let you fix the physical if you don't fix that first, because it blocks you.
Okay. And often the two are.
Yeah, oh, they are definitely combined, yeah.
So if you're having physical ailments,
Only if you have
likely to be a
PTSD
psychological
or schizophrenia or something that is really severe. This is not everybody that has a physical ailment. So it's just insane. The physical shows on your plasmatic sheath. I kept calling it an aura like an ignorant fool until Stanley finally corrected me. He told me the proper way to say it.
More the light body around
Yeah,
the physical
and
body.
it's not one color. It's many colors and layers. There's 4 layers. I only can read 3. One is spiritual, and it's none of my business, they say. But there's the one color curtain. And I learned that when I said, I think I'll get a grant and we'll do dogs see your aura. I know they do. And so I was going to go into, and the old ones are telling me, don't bother, it won't work. And now I know it won't. Anyway, the animals see the one color curtain. That's what they called it. Nobody has a right to know everything that's in your plasmatic sheath. This is a private thing, and so they have the one color emotion that clouds it the strongest. Anger, and all of these will,
Fear,
like a curtain that goes over it. Yeah,
or
right.
kind of a feeling tone
Uh-huh.
to the person.
And that's what you normally can see. But behind that are the layers, and the way it moves and the gaps in it and stuff will show your physical. I don't use that because I don't need to. I just fix them. But I used to because they wanted me to understand it and see how.
How that connects.
Yeah, and so there's your physical layer, your emotional layer, your mental layer, and that one they won't, the spiritual thing, connection. That's none of my business. I imagine it has something to do with the karmic layer. I don't know.
But these are like energetic sheaths that are surrounding the body.
It's like rays coming out of you, together, all tight together. And if you look at the water and you see the rays coming off where the sun hits it, a glass of water or something, it's kind of like that. And if you watch really, you put a glass of water out there and you let the sun hit it and you get the ray from where it shines, and okay, you watch really close and you will see the rays are moving. They're not stationary.
Yeah, I've noticed that.
Okay, and they move separate from each other. Okay, we do the same. And how you move tells you a lot. I mean, how they move. And how far they go and then stop and go back, and some will go farther and some won't. But it's the rainbow. It looks like instead of a rainbow with them moving like that, it's chaos of color. It's like you threw all the bead colors in one tray because you can't define the layer of rainbow because they're moving. Okay, and the red goes up against the
spectrum.
Yeah, I mean they're coming out, but they're all doing this thing. It's hard to explain. And if you watch those rays and then imagine, because I think the ones that come off water are like green and red, and you'll be able to see that the colors stay the same in the ray, but the ray itself moves, so the colors next to it change. Breaks the rainbow up. It isn't a rainbow anymore. I mean, a perfect rainbow line. It's suddenly the green is down here and the red's up here. Okay, and the other colors are all muddied up in there.
Did you originally use that in your work?
I tried.
Okay.
When they were trying to teach me about it, because I was spouting stupid stuff the New Agers were telling me about the aura.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, you better stop talking and start learning. So basically,
And the they you're talking about are spirits?
yes.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I want to see, how do I see psychic energy? Because, like, there is such a thing. And what I discovered is it isn't in the aura or in the plasmatic sheath. It goes in. It's kind of a bluey white light, the psychic energy, and it goes inside the body. The rays go in, they don't come out.
So the rays are focused inward?
They stick from
Here
in. They're on the inside of the rainbow. It's on the outside. And there's no color on the inside of that energy.
And how do you use that, or how does that knowledge,
That's
how can
what
that be applied in terms of
it
maintaining
seems.
optimal health, for example?
I don't know, but I know that it seems like when you die, that comes out. That's what you see leave. I think. So I don't know if it's connected to the soul or the spirit of life or the life. I don't know what it is.
But that seems to be what leaves. And there's I think there's actually a quantum weight that's associated
Yeah,
with that.
there is.
When we pass over, need some water, Fawn? Okay.
It's that lisinopril.
Yeah.
It goes through streaks. Dry.
Break here.
Yeah, take a break.
Lubricate.
It'll pass. I don't know. At first it was all the time, but now it's
Sporadic.
occasional. Yeah. Anyway, so I stopped with the energy training. It was just too difficult and a lot of work. And I didn't want to do it. And so. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Can you talk a little bit more about the spirits and the old ones? Do you mean that in the same way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the old
When you
ones
say
are.
the old ones
yeah.
told me you were saying the
I have 3 that used to work with me all the time. And they say they are me, but I went beyond them. They taught me the traditional things and certain things, and then they moved me on, and they left, and they won't talk to me anymore. I'm on my own. But I have what I call the big council in the sky, and it's I don't think it's tribe. I don't think it's just all old people, and they all look old, and they're all there to judge me and pass me on to the next level. If I'm in trouble, that's who I stand in front of. There's just hundreds of them, and they're just around like they're on bleachers or something. I'm the only
right
light.
now,
Yeah.
around.
Well, no, when I go to the council.
Okay.
That's a different time. And I was drugged to that when it was getting time for me to move to another level. They would take me to this council. And that was really scary because none of them smile, none of them acknowledge you in any way. And there's one who asks you questions and you answer them.
Like a judge.
Yeah. And I didn't care for that meeting when I was young. But I remember the one time it was after I met Stanley, and I had books. Oh my God, I was trying to find all the answers to everything. And I was a knowledge gatherer. I was addicted to the gathering of knowledge, and I wasn't applying it because I didn't have all the pieces. So I go get more pieces and more pieces and more. And it was from everywhere and everything, and it all looked like one day I would have enough to make a whole picture out of this, And I remember being warned and warned and warned that I was becoming addicted to gathering of knowledge, and I wasn't able to apply it because of that. It was this other addiction. The spirits kept warning me, and then I was called to, and this came in a dream. I was called to the council, and I went, and they warned me they're going to talk to you about this addiction you got. And in the dream, all of a sudden, I've got 2 great big baskets I'm carrying, and they're all full of puzzle pieces. This is all the knowledge that I have gathered. And I'm headed for the lodge with my baskets. And the ones that trained me kept saying, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Oh, yeah. And then I got to the door, and I thought, oh, and it all hit me all at once. This isn't right. And I just sat down outside the council lodge where they were waiting for me and thought. And then in dream, of course, now here, I don't know what I had done in reality, but in my dream, I got up and I picked up my baskets and I dumped them out into the river of knowledge and went in with empty baskets. And they said, "Well, what have you learned from this experience?" And I said, "I've learned that wisdom is a lot lighter to carry than knowledge. I don't want any more knowledge." Because they were going to tell me to put this big picture together and show me what you got. And I didn't have anything except pieces. So that was the day of no more. I've got enough. I will use whatever's in here, and that's it. Mm-hmm.
And so this occurred in a dream?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it always is. I go in dream world to get judged and picked on.
Let's talk more about that, because it sounds to me like that is where the action is at.
Yeah,
as
I
it
guess.
were for you. Not so much in terms of visions and things, but your dream life is very active and has a clarity to it that I find unusual, and a coherence to it.
I believe I travel to the other dimension more than dream.
Okay.
I guess is what I don't know. I'm asleep. I get out of my own way. My conscious mind is a real problem. It goes into fear and doubt and things like that I don't need it. So I go without it. But I've got a conscious mind when I'm there, but it's not the one that's in this dimension that's limited. I leave all that behind.
Do you have a conscious intent associated with your dreaming? Will you say, make that conscious intention that when I dream tonight,
yes,
I'm going to receive this kind of, hopefully receive this kind of guidance.
Yeah, I'm going to go get some help.
Okay. So you actually use your dream life as a central part.
They took that away when they took all the tools away, by the way. They took everything away and told me, "You're going on your own until you get it." So there I am, holding one little feather, because that's all they let me do, or my lighter or whatever. They took the feather away eventually because it became it.
So was there actually good guidance in your dreams helping you with that transition? Like, Fawn, you don't use the drop anymore? Or?
Well, yeah, that's where they got to me. That's,
Okay.
They talked to me there, and they're saying, "You're depending too much on these physical things, and you don't need any of them. It's you that's the power." "Oh, no," I said. "Oh, I can't do anything anybody else can't do, And, but that wasn't true. So they would make me, and they wouldn't come, or they wouldn't respond if I used any tools, or whoever wouldn't respond, I don't know, but nobody got well. So I put everything outside of the tent, went to teepee, and went back in and tried again, and everything worked fine. I mean, I was stubborn. It was hard for me to let go of what I was clinging to, all these powers and bulls. But the thing was, people were stealing those, They thought they had power.
Stealing it?
Yeah, when you have an open camp, you don't know. There's a lot of people coming and going, and
what's going on there.
and a lot of your stuff, it disappears somehow. And I do believe even sometimes spirits may have stolen them. I don't know. But, or maybe mine, just to make me realize I didn't need them. But I was just devastated. Where is my whatever,
I just lost my pipe.
Right. And so they took it all away, and I walked, and I was in a void, and I was just lost. I really felt inadequate, and that was a good lesson. Get rid of those things. You don't need to lean on any of this stuff. What if you lose it? Now what? So I had to learn to walk along with nothing.
That sounds like a very austere practice. Talk about some simplicity.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's why I say send me a student, but unless they want to look at the psychological aspects, there's nothing I can show you. You know, I just put you in and leave you.
Put them in the teepee and
I
come
leave.
back in a while.
Yeah. I don't even come back. They come out and find me. I'm
For a
done.
while. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to go back to what I was doing. So, yeah, it's the power's within us. I don't give a darn. You don't need a feather or a drum or anything else unless you're in training and have to train your mind somehow to get to that point. So,
If you can't just
yeah.
enter that state of interconnectedness.
And I wouldn't have had to learn any of that except I needed to understand my new role, which is not healing. I don't like healing very well. I just
That's what
don't.
you're evolving out of now.
No, I'm still, it'll
Still
never,
doing it.
I mean, couldn't, there's no one I can turn away.
Yeah.
So,
Talking about healing, is there anything that you do in particular to prepare yourself?
No.
If someone's coming to you in
No.
need of healing. So you,
I used to, but no.
yeah, but again, that's something you left behind. And
Yes.
You don't need to do that. It works without doing
That's
it.
right. I just will it done and it's done, and I can't even explain it.
What's maybe you've just answered it, but what do you see is happening in a healing session when you just send one to the teepee or so?
I call on the one they call Two Hawks. I don't know who he is or what tribe or anything about him, but he is in the main prayer where you call upon the Creator and the Grandmother Moon and all of the elements and all as you go. And he's at the end. I'm to ask for Two Hawks to evaluate and diagnose any and all malfunction in the mental, physical, and emotional body of this person and repair any and all that need repair. And more or less turn it over to Two Hawks. Which I don't think does it, but that's okay.
Whoever that is,
I'm not.
called Two Hawks.
Yes.
That's the power. Or
Yeah.
The locus of the power.
Because I'm not comfortable being the power.
Right.
I'm just not. I feel I'm the hollow bone, like Red Elk calls me, and I connect the higher power to them.
Well, that's a typical name for the shamans, or they're the hollow bone people. Right?
But I don't hollow bone to sucky.
You don't do that.
No, that one. Now, I believe it was Stanley that gave. Yeah, I know Stanley gave me the definition of. I think there's 5 different kinds of healers,
Okay.
and
You would know.
yeah, and I think it's even in one of his books that I really he wrote with Alberto.
Oh, Alberto Vialdo.
Yes.
The Realms of Healing.
Yes, it's in there. I think is the
Okay.
definition of the 5 different kinds, and he gave me that book so I'd get it together and understand that there is a definite, and that's why he called me shaman too. He said, "You read the book, you'll see."
You'll see that
And-
the definitions apply to you.
Right. And I'm told by the old ones that I can do all 5. I have the power to be all of them. I cannot do psychic surgery because I don't want to. I don't like it. I don't approve of it. I don't believe you have to open it up and get all weird and do these things. So they said I could, but I won't, so I can't. And there's the suck. I won't do that either. That just repulses me to think about it. Why do you have to go to these barbaric, ridiculous ways when you can? I know why they do, because they're, their connection, but I won't do
That's
it.
the form their connection takes.
Right.
But you don't need to.
And I went through the others as a beginner and then stepped up and then stepped up. And now I don't know what I am. I just put you in a teepee and you'll be fine.
And whatever happens, happens.
Right. And 9 out of 10 come out completely repaired, even with things I don't know. I had the Russian priest. They brought AIDS patients to me. That was quite a joke. I can't work with the AIDS patients if they are homosexual AIDS. And that is why they said that was, because I asked for details on it, why can't I? They said you shouldn't try because you're not going to succeed with the homosexuals who caught AIDS. If it's from drug needles or something, you can't. And the reason for that is because the homosexuals were still the ones that they brought to me. I asked why couldn't I help them? And they said because they are still having a dispute with God. They're still fighting to have God accept them as they are and to convince themselves and God that they're still normal and all of this. They're having a real problem with acceptance of churches and people. And because of that, there's a blockage there. Once they come to terms with God, or with their God, or whatever they perceive God as, then you'll be able to go through that barrier. But it isn't the AIDS that you're having a problem with. It's their own turmoil.
It's the relation with divinity, however
Yeah.
that's defined for them.
And they don't feel worthy of my healing on an unconscious level because of this other dispute going on. They don't know if God really is going to work with them. And that's not necessarily a conscious thought. It is in a lot of them, but not always.
Are there other groups that you could identify that are also, for whatever reason, difficult for you to work with?
Some of your Christians are a little strange, your fanatic ones, but no, not normal. Just AIDS seems to be the
think you're, Satan.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got when all the AIDS, this priest drove them all down in a bus or a van or something. So I had a whole group of them there that was running through the teepee, and the ones that got it from the needle or from drugs were healed, and the others were not. And that's why I went for answers to the council, and the old ones told me that.
Is there a way, I know there is with many of the things that you've shared with us, but is there a way of documenting that you were able to effectively work and cure a certain class of AIDS patients?
No.
Okay.
I started out with doing that.
Before and after, like a doctor who would diagnose them?
Yeah, they came with their lab reports, and I had the girls working with me. The bank executive was the one in charge of all that. She was documenting. But the thing that happened was the one man his AIDS, no live virus detected, and he was ready to die. He caught cancer and died after that. I mean, it's like,
it's another.
Yeah, and so I find it was very difficult to document them. They don't want their name. They don't. Most of them didn't want to be a part of it. Right.
Yeah, okay.
And I could do it now.
I
I mean, if you brought willing patients and documented it, I'd be perfectly willing to go with anything like that. I always am.
I'm just curious because that's in terms of healing work. There's a tremendous audience of people, with those kinds of conditions who are desperate for
I'm here.
any kind of cures. And PTSD.
I'm here.
It's a huge crisis in the making, I think.
Bring them.
There,
And there,
something like 350,000 vets from the Iraq, Afghanistan wars who have been documented with brain damage.
You bet.
Right.
Right.
From explosive devices.
I can fix that too.
You can
Well, sure. Sure. I
I mean, God can do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's behind, that's the one behind it all. I have to blame somebody because I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know. If it was left just to me alone, I don't think I could do anything. But I...
Thank goodness for two hawks.
Thank goodness my ego got in the right place.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Thank goodness you got humbled there.
Yeah,
along the
that's
way.
right. Because I thought I could fix anything. Oh, my
That's
God.
the case for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I want to shift
Okay.
direction a little bit here. Actually, no. Let's go on that what you were just talking about, because you had told me a couple of times when we first met that you'd made some mistakes when you were younger, and that you felt that you were had to pay a price for that. What kind of mistakes did you make other than
gasping in the teepee?
getting full of yourself? Can you speak to that a little bit? And how does a healer protect themselves?
Well,
while
mine was,
interacting with sometimes mortal illnesses and so forth.
I don't.
Okay.
But
you don't do them.
no,
It's
but
just it's
but
just
all
a
of my
natural part of the
mistakes were
process.
just me thinking I was somebody
Okay.
and doing this.
Okay.
That was, I was stumbling through stupidity,
Yeah.
and you pay a
Like
good
we all
price.
did.
Yeah, you pay a price for that.
Yeah. So you paid the natural price.
Yeah, and a lot of the times they didn't get well, and that's like, what's happening? Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk just a minute about your middle years of your life, because you had other more conventional roles as a mother, for example, right? How did you balance that?
I didn't.
Your
I didn't.
Okay.
That was in the days of it just happens.
Okay.
I make them feel better.
Yeah.
I didn't accept it at all or work with it in any way.
That wasn't part of your
no.
conscious path.
I didn't want any part of it. I was a mother.
Okay.
You can't
you're
do
being a mom.
both. Yeah, you cannot do both and do them both right.
Yeah,
I mean,
would think
it's one
that
or the
would be
other.
Very difficult.
You can't. I mean, can't be gone in a teepee for 4 days and 4 nights when you've got babies at home.
Right.
It's
Right.
just not the way to do it.
Okay. I think that's common to many creative individuals. Artists, for example. I know that I've been free to pursue my art at this point in my life now that my children are grown up.
Right.
But when they were little and dependent on me,
That's right.
my life was not mine that way.
That's right.
Cool. You had a
We
question?
have about 4 minutes left on this tape.
Okay.
And we also have to change that.
Oh, I was going to tell you the Russian priest that brought them all. He came back alone, and he said, "Is it my understanding that you don't need to know what's wrong with somebody to fix them?" And I said, "That's right, because I don't do it." And he said, "You mean I can go in your teepee, and you don't have to know what's wrong with me?" And I said, "That's right." He said, "I want to go in your teepee for a healing." And he wouldn't tell me why, because I didn't care. So he went in, he came back, and he went home. He came back the next day, and he was from Portland or Eugene or someplace. He came back with a photo album and showed me that he was a Russian priest, but that he'd been tipping the bottle and he turned into an alcoholic and had been taken out of his church for a time until he could recover. He went into my teepee, he came back, and I saw him again 2 weeks later, and he says, "I have never had a desire to drink since I've been in your teepee, and I have my church back." So he's there somewhere if you could find him. I don't know. He works with the AIDS patients, but there's different people like that. I had a nun bring a whole bunch of children that were broken that she adopted, and they all went through the teepee and got fine. So she's got normal children, except for one that had spina bifida, and he couldn't walk. He walked on his hands, and because his legs weren't connected to his back or something, I don't know. He was 21. He went in the teepee. He came out, and what we ended up finding out was he was in shock because he had never in his life experienced pain-free. This was the first time he was pain-free, and he said he thought he was dead when he woke up because he didn't feel himself anymore. But what he had felt was pain from his back, and he wasn't taking pain pills or anything, but nobody knew he was in discomfort until that time. So it's pretty interesting, He said, I thought I was dead. I couldn't feel my body. I didn't feel my body. And later we found out what he meant by that was I couldn't feel the pain, because that was what he associated with his body. It was pretty neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think we're
Yep.
at the end right there. Perfect timing. And I think what I'd like to do